Yeah, many people are connected. So I've got only one person connected to the server. Is that Zoe, right?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Anyone else that's connecting to the server? If you get any issues, let us know so we can try to assist you. So you need TeamViewer. So you need to download TeamViewer. So it's a free application on the online. Use TeamViewer to connect to the server, and then we can all control the machine together. Yeah, I can
Okay,
see
I've
someone else
downloaded it.
connected.
I'm just installing it now. Bear with me.
Yeah, okay. I can see someone else connected. Is that Ricardo or is that Joseph?
That's me.
Ah, nice one.
Ah, nice one.
Oh God, Joseph.
Are you using Hyper-V or is it going to be the VirtualBox?
Um, I'm thinking. I was thinking of using a VirtualBox. Because I was thinking of actually creating something more. But yeah, I'll need some configuration. Yeah, I can see Ricardo is joined now. Let me clone another machine. Actually, let's go clone another server. Let's call this server 2. Initialize next. Yeah. So the goal or the aim of this will be to try to go through. No problems, Andrew. No problems. So the goal will be to try to go through 7410. Well, we won't be able to go through everything, but we'll try to go through some part of 7410 and some parts of 7411, and we'll do it in form of a project together. So, which is why it's a challenge lab. Yeah. Thanks, Zoe. Thanks for the link. So we'll do it in form of a project together. So we'll be putting some task up and we'll be collaborating to solve it together, mainly using PowerShell.
Yeah.
So you're
Whether I
excited?
should call my team here or not.
No, so you can't escape it. So mainly using PowerShell. And yeah, so let's bring up two servers and let's fire them up like so what we'll do, let's try to draw some topology of what we'll be doing today. I think I got Visio on this. Yeah, there we go. We got Visio. So let's do some topology of what we're doing today. So what you guys will be building today or your task for today. So you guys are network engineers. Oh yeah, Microsoft. So you guys are network engineers. Let me put this here. So you guys are network engineers and you'll be working in this environment. Um, okay. Sorry, Microsoft wants me to. Oh, I thought I had the license already imputed, but maybe not. Microsoft wants me to input the license. It's not gonna work. No, it's not gonna work. Let me cancel this. Let's go for Word. If Word works, that'll be good for us. Word. No, we have that Word.
MS Paint, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the faithful paint. That's what we'll go back to. Yeah, okay, there we go. So here's what we'll be working on. We'll have a server here, which will basically be on the main servers. We have another server here. And then we'll have a site. We'll have a server here. We have another server here. And this will be uh, so this will be site one, and this will be site two. Yeah, okay, because someone else just joined, and then we go. This will be site one, and this will be site two, and they're both going to be connecting to the. Let's use the stars our internet. So this guy is connected to the internet. This guy is connected to the internet. They can all talk to one another. They're happy. So control. Well, let's put it back. So your task for today will be to configure these two different sites using the knowledge that you've learned in 7410 and the early 7411. So this site will have IP in the IP address range 10 dot, let's say, yeah, let's just give you something strange. That's 4.5.6 dot 1/13. I know, but that's part of the Microsoft training. So networking is part of the Microsoft training. IPv4, IPv6, and this is not 34. Let's call this 29.7.5/25. Okay, here we go. So this one, you'll be configuring this as a domain controller, and you'll be configuring this as a domain controller, which will be talking to this guy here. So this one will be our client. Our client will be receiving his IP address from this DHCP server here. And this client here will be receiving his address from this server here, which is also the DHCP server. Of course, it will also be DNS. And this one will also be DNS. So this server will also be our file server. And this one will also be a file server. And our job will be to configure DFS. And part of our job will be to say, let's put it down here. When client 1 logs in, or when a user logs into client 1, let's expand it. So this is a view challenge. So this now, when a user logs into, okay, why I'm writing that, let me quickly clone another server, because I'm thinking we'll need server 1, server 2. Let's clone another one. Let's call it server 3. Clone, let's say your server 3. So next, actually we don't need server 3 to be a clone because we just create another machine. So yeah, we'll cancel that later. Yeah. So yeah, when a user logs into client 1, there my document will be redirected to a share on the file server in their location. So are we getting this already?
Clear, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, they'll be moving that. And then what will happen is, let's put something else. So actually, let's put it this way. Let's say client 2. So let's say, let's go back. Let's say client 2 will be built. So let's put this one, which is, it will also have WDS on it. So will be, let's go yeah. So let's say client 2 will be built using WDS using WDS. Actually, let's say client 1 and client 2. client 1 and client 2 will be built using WDS on server 2. Client 2 will be built first. Firefox will be installed and its image used to build client 1. Okay. What else? What other topics do we have? Anyone has any questions so far? No, anyone have any questions so far?
Yeah, hi there.
Yeah. Hello,
Yeah,
Krishna. Oh, sorry, Krishna. How you doing? Long time. So what I'll do is I'll post the ID again for. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, Krishna's got the info. Okay. Yeah, Andrew, you were saying something. Carry on, please.
yeah. So the main objective of this is to demonstrate DFS. Yeah.
Not just DFS. Many
Mm-hmm.
topics in 7410 and 7411. So you'll be
Mm-hmm.
configuring DHCP, you're configuring
Mm-hmm.
DFS, you'll be configuring WDS.
Mm-hmm.
What else did they ask us to configure in 7410?
See. So this whiteboard you're doing now is an overview of the whole of the 7410. Yeah.
7410 and beginning 7411. So you'll be doing subnetting.
7411.
Yeah,
Right.
you'll be doing subnetting because you have to find out which network this belongs to. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we got file services. Yeah, okay, let's do this.
But I thought you were just whiteboarding what you were going to work on in the lab today.
No,
Because I'm pretty sure you're not going to achieve all that today in 2 hours.
no, the goal is to see. Because one of the things is to help people like to develop like the mindset of if you're actually like giving this kind of work to do and other kind of stuff, how you approach it and stuff like that. You may not be able to finish it, but actually it is
Mhm.
possible to finish it, you know, because it's not like something that's like too complex like that.
The
Uh,
time it takes to image your workstations alone, the time it takes to upload your image files into WDS and stuff, that just in itself will just burn down your time.
no, it won't, because it's locally now. So it's using the memory and the processor of the computer. Because it's all virtual, so it's not, yeah. The last time that when we demonstrated WDS, it only takes like 5 minutes to do, to upload like a full 4 gig image.
Mhm.
So it will be much faster. So the thing is,
Okay.
how do I create this in a way that will make it much more simple for you to view and all that? So let's use this one. So we'll create this topology that you'll be doing. We'll create it on this. This is what you'll be doing today. So let's say this is a challenge project for you. Let's maximize that. And let's go close that, close that. We don't need two, we only need one. Okay, so here we go. So we have server one, we have server two. So and then here's the thing that we'll be doing is that you use PowerShell for everything. The rule is use PowerShell. So what do you think of that?
Uh, I don't know.
Okay, let's go. So we have server two. So this will be server one here, server one, and this will be server two here, server two. This will be client one, client two. So let's make sure we have everything. So we have server one, server two. Let's create a new machine. Let's call this client one. Microsoft Windows Windows 8.1. Next, next, next. Yep. Sorry. So go create. So we got client 1 there, and then we go, let's create client 2 also. New client 2. Microsoft Windows. Okay. Let's go. So, like, I mean, while we're doing this, let's all just talk around about our experience with PowerShell. So, should we start with, Zoe? So, should we start with Ricardo? So, Ricardo, what's your experience with PowerShell? Hello, Ricardo, are you there? Hello? Hello? Ricardo, are you there? Ricardo? Okay. Let's go to Krishna. Krishna, so what's your experience with PowerShell?
It's medium. Medium. I think it's medium. My experience with that.
Is what? Sorry.
It's not advanced. It's medium. My experience
Okay.
with PowerShell.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay. What about you, Joseph? What about you? What's your experience like with PowerShell?
I can get around. I've been
Um,
I've been practicing using a server core, so
Nice one.
it's getting there.
Yeah. And Andrew, no, Andrew is way much familiar and stuff. Because Andrew works in IT day in day out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm solid.
Nice one. So guys,
No,
we've got
I
guys.
think a few years back, I basically was moving from VB script into PowerShell
Yeah.
because obviously, as you know, storage ready when it was blowing. It's about like 2010 or whatever,
Yeah.
and I set aside a couple of months to learn PowerShell, and I followed Don Jones's video series.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen. I'll post these in the forum, but they're pretty good. And if you switch off from everything at one point and just focus on just 100% PowerShell, it's amazing. The amount of stuff that he can teach you. This guy is like, Don Jones. He's a legend. If you're gonna learn PowerShell, I definitely suggest following his series because not only does he know everything, he knows a hell of a lot, but he also has, the abilities to actually pass on these skills as well, which is, very rare talent. So literally, in terms of my PowerShell, I've learned basically how to navigate, how to discover. If you put me on a system, basically, the most important commandlet is the get help commandlet, and being able to, understand the difference between PowerShell 1, 2, and 3, and being able to use the internal built-in help to, discover your commandlets and discover how to use it, get examples, and work your way around that way is the best way to learn. Jumping on a machine, using the get module commandlet to actually list all with the list available switch to actually list all the available modules, then importing the module using the get command for that particular module to actually list all the modules available, all the commandlets available for that module, and then actually get help on those individual commandlets where you're actually interested in. And that is the best way to actually learn. You've got real world examples right in front of you. I mean, I found myself on as an SME for a System Center Configuration Manager, having to write a PowerShell script to export application packages from the package mode to the application mode, and just jump into the console and be able to just discover the commandlets and just write your code is definitely the best way to learn.
Yeah, nice one, guys. Yeah, so let's go to let's just say first that one. This guy connects to this one. And so this guy connects to this one connects to that one, and this one connects to this one. So this is what we're working with today.
Is this connected to the VirtualBox as well, this GNS3, these clients too?
Yeah. So which is why this is fun. This is how I mean, I like building labs this way because you can basically build like any topology you want to build with view devices. So we'll start everything, and all our machines should start very soon. Yeah, here we go. Client 2 is starting already. Any other one that's starting? Ooh, we have a server 1 and a server client 2. View. Yep, so that one will be yeah, they are starting. Nice one. Okay, got your IP addresses here already. So this one will be 34.5.6.1.13. And this one will be 29.7.7.5.25. Yeah, there we go. So all the machines are starting up. And then what else? Okay, so I'll just quickly configure this one. So you can carry on after this. Um, 35.5.6.
Hey David, do you want to give us a talk through? Give us some commentary of what you're
Oh,
doing
oh,
while
yeah.
you're doing it.
So what I'm just basically trying to do is to make sure that when you start configuring this, that this network can talk to this network. So I'm just doing networking between these two routers. So it's kind of like the way it's going to work in the real world if you're working from one site to another site. So there has to be
Yeah, yeah,
networking. Yeah.
yeah. Got that. Go through it blow by blow, but when you're doing it, just
Ah, oh, so yeah. So this one is basically just putting an IP address on this interface to say that's the IP address on this interface.
Okay.
Say 192.1.254. Just giving it an IP address and a subnet mask. So the reason why I like doing and no short is to say, unshort the interface. The reason why I like doing the labs this way rather than just using it directly to VirtualBox is because this way, number one, you have a topology that you can look at and help you. Number two is you can actually simulate like real network devices, like it will be in the real world and all that stuff. So that's one of the reasons why I like using it this way. And then number three is that it integrates so well with VirtualBox that you can actually use like real machines and all that. So just
Excellent.
yeah, two more
Okay.
minutes and we'll be done. Okay, so this is just basically like the routing protocol, the OSPF that will let this network be able to talk to this network. Which I think we discussed a little of that in 7410. So 00 here. So we got 29.775.25. So I want to say, okay, the network that I want to participate in the routing protocol, 29. I don't care about anything else after that. 0.255.255.255. The area, that's like for another one that I wanted to participate in. Network 192.168.1.0, then 0.0.0.255, which is the area that I wanted to participate in as well. And if I go end, okay, so we're basically done. So this address, this router address, I have to give it an address also. So there we go. Let's give F00. So that's where I'll end. So F00, I have to give it an address. And this one too, F01, I have to give it an address. So this one, I'll leave that part for you when it gets to the part where you want me to mention that. Then we'll come on this to configure it. So the task for you guys now is to discuss between yourself how you go about completing this. What are the tasks that you need to accomplish, and then distribute it. So it's kind of like a teamwork. So basically, you have to configure this one and this one. So you have to list down what are the tags that we need to complete. Um, what IP addresses will this be on? So you just basically work out what tags you need to complete, break it down, and decide the tags that you need to complete, then distribute the tags and say, okay, you complete this one, you complete that one. So, so yeah, so you can carry on. Everyone's quiet. So, so what task? So basically, if I mean, if we're given like this kind of task, I'll show you like an example of if we're given this kind of task, what I'll do, like for example, someone gives me like this kind of task and say, I want you to do this. These are the rules. So one of the first things that will make your life easier is to first of all list the things that you want to do. Okay, this is the task. These are what I need to accomplish this task. So number two, this is the task. These are the things I need to do to accomplish this task. Number three, this is the task. These are the things that I need to accomplish this task. So that's basically the first thing that I will advise that you guys do. Then after you list the things that you need to accomplish, that you notice that it's not actually that much difficult. So yeah, you want to discuss between yourselves. What do you think? Andrew, what do you think? What do you think would be the first thing that you'll be doing if you're gonna be doing something like this? How would
I,
you go
s-
about it?
I say I get thrown in at the deep end. Goodness, on my first day.
Mm.
Excellent. Thanks, guys.
You know, you join doing it. It's a challenge lab, so that's one of the. So the reason is to, so so the reason, yeah,
Okay, well let's have a look. So here we've
Andrew,
got
Zoe is my,
SRV1 and SRV2.
yeah,
So SRV1, let's give that's one site and SRV2 is another site. Let's give that site a name. Does that site have a
yeah,
name on SRV1?
exactly.
Let's give it.
So
Let's give it a name just so we know what we're talking about.
so yeah,
Let's
so
give that site a name. I
yeah,
don't know,
so
we'll give it Manchester, London, whatever.
yeah,
What do you
yeah,
want to
go
call it?
ahead. Yeah, go ahead. So which names do you want to give it? Come on. And
Okay,
Joe,
let's
Joe,
go.
your mic is
Okay, let's
muted.
go. Let's go about the head office site. Yeah.
Yep. Joe, your mic is muted, and Krishna.
Let's call it. Stick a label on the top of it. Call it the head office, and we'll
Oh,
say that's in.
you can control the mouse. You can, yeah,
All right.
feel free to
Have
do
I
that.
got control?
Yep.
Let's have a look. Ah, okay, awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. I'm gonna call that London. Yeah.
What will be the company name?
Oh, it doesn't matter about that, does it? I don't know. You guys, someone else decide that. And then we'll call this.
Yeah. It actually, yeah, I'm sorry, it's actually making a good point in terms like the company name, because from the company name you can decide what you want to call the domain to begin with.
Like xyz.com or whatever,
Yeah.
so that could be easier, and then we can decide the sites, I think.
What do you think, Joe and Krishna?
I know. Okay.
So far, so good.
So far so good, what, Joe? So far so good, what?
Right. So cool. So basically, to begin with, this is going to be the main site. So obviously, you're gonna have to decide which domain controller is coming up first. Okay. So we've got DC1, DHCP, DNS up on here. Probably Active Directory integrated DNS zones, DHCP on here. So we could build this head office first, and then as a secondary, we can build your second domain controller at this remote site in Manchester, and then we can join it to the main domain. Obviously, join it as a client, and then obviously join the domain controller into
Yeah. I mean, is someone writing down like all the things that you're mentioning? So you said you want to build the main site first. So I'll probably put that down somewhere and say, okay, I want to build the main site first. Then after I build the main site, I'll configure DHCP and DNS on the server in the main site.
I don't see anybody stepping up for this. Is anybody stepping up for this?
Joe and Krishna and Ricardo, what are your thoughts?
Okay, I I will be able to type it. So we're gonna build the first, like on the first side, we're gonna build the domain controller first, I think, and then set up the DHCP and DNS. So step one would be to
Yeah, carry on. Site one, yeah. So just list all the tags. So that way, so that's the kind of. So I mean, people have asked this question. Like, I mean, if you're given like a project interview, how would you go about it? So these are some of the ways that you can even develop like projects, completion skills, in your own personal lab. Give yourself a task like this, and then, try to break it down to say what are the tasks that needs to be done to complete this, and then list all the tasks. And then list what do I need to do to complete this task? What do I need to do to complete this task? What do I need to do to complete this task? Yeah, so site one London office. So yeah, so you set up your DC. What do you need to set up your DC?
for the domain controller.
Yeah, come on guys. I mean, and Ricardo, what do you need to set up your DC?
You need to set a static IP address.
Yep,
First, you need to
exactly.
identify the network that
Yeah,
it
so
is
you
on.
need, yeah, good one. So set up, so you need an IP address to set up your DC.
Right.
So that means you need to break down the subnet and determine what your IP address will be.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So what else do you need to set up your DC? Krishna, what else do you need? I mean, you're in this project. If you're not, I mean, if you don't complete the project, you won't get
Okay.
you won't get the
Yeah.
project.
Okay.
You'll get the bonus.
All right.
Yeah, okay. If you're going to bullet point some of the configuration that you're going to need, first of all, you're going to need host name for your server, and obviously you're calling it
Yeah, you can put that
is it
down though.
SRV1.
Yeah, you can put that down though. You need host
Let me
name.
jump back in there.
Yeah.
Who's doing the typing there? Oh, okay, cool. Okay. Obviously for the DC, we're going to need a domain name to begin with.
Mhm.
So we're going to need to decide whether it's going to be whatever.local or whatever.com. I don't know. I don't think if we're going to there's any point in splitting .local for internal and .com for external. We'll just go with .com for whatever for now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, like somebody said before, it's probably an idea to come up with a company name. So if you got a company name, we'll call it whatever companyname.com.
Yep.
So we'll go with that. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, what else? So to set up your DHCP, what would you need?
Again, you'll need your scope start, your scope
Exactly.
end.
Good one. So you need your scope.
Default gateway, DNS servers,
Good
IP
one.
address of DNS server.
Mhm.
I'm going to shut up now because I need Joe to dominate this.
Joe and Krishna, you've been quiet. Krishna, what's going on? Your mic is not working. So for your DNS, what do you need? What do you need to be able to set up your DNS server? Joe, Ricardo, what do you think? Because Joe's gone silent now. Joe. Krishna, are you there?
For the DNS server, do we need to set up the zones like primary zones, secondary zones, and stuff?
Yeah, sure, for sure. So you can put that down. Your zones. If you want, you can put reverse lookup zones, like you said.
And maybe later at the second stage for the site one, we might need stub zones.
You decide that between yourself if it's necessary. Yeah. I mean, just put your ideas down. Yeah. Okay. So what else after that? Yeah. So what about setting up your WDS server? What do you need for that?
I think we are missing one thing because to set up WDS we need DHCP as we need Active Directory as well.
Yeah.
That's what we need for the WDS.
So what else apart from your Active Directory? Do you need anything else?
DHCP and
what else?
There are like 4 things that you need to set up the WDS server. One is Active Directory, DNS, DHCP, and I can't remember the 4th one.
Yeah, Ricardo.
Is it a transmission server?
Yeah, you'll need access to your media, obviously.
Yeah. Good one. So yeah, you can put that one down also though. So you need your.
No, if you're gonna be pixie booting.
What do you
It
think?
should be for the client one. We should be pixie booting if we want to set up a WDS server. Ideally.
Yeah. Okay, so now you want to break this down some more. I mean, you can complete this one first before going to the next stage. So first thing you want to do is, you said you want to set up your DC. So you have a domain name. So will you go ahead, but then the thing is, you need the IP address for it. So you want to determine what your IP address is would be first. So who wants to determine what the IP address would be? Because what I've done is I've just given you an IP address and a subnet mask. That's not a network. That's an IP address and a subnet mask. So basically, you have to figure out the first IP in this network and the last IP in this network, and then determine what IPs you use. Anyone wants to determine that? Krishna. So Krishna. So actually, let's actually just start putting name, because people are not talking. So let's start giving people work to do. So we'll need a domain name. So Zoe has already determined this one. Static IP. Let's put this for Joseph to determine. Host name, yeah, because IP address to set up this here. So basically, this one will be the same as this one. Host name, let's give that to Joseph also because that's like really straightforward. So setting up DHCP, the scope, let's give that to whom? And Andy, you want to take this one? Or let's give Andy the DNS, the WDS one. So for the scope, let's give the scope to Krishna.
Sorry, I just heard my name there. Sorry, what was that? Sorry.
No, I was asking. No, I was saying we'll give you the WDS one.
Okay, so you want me to install and configure the WDS server?
Yeah. Then you can,
Okay,
can you also walk us through it also.
Okay. Sure.
Setting up the zones, stop zones for future to connect.
I can do the setting up the zones.
So let's put this for Zoe. Let's give this for Zoe. Yeah. So So Joseph. So basically, you have to determine like what the next step will be for you. So you have the domain name. Zoe says to use companyname.com. Hello, Joseph. I can't even hear you anymore. Hello, are you still there? Let me know if you're still there.
Hi, who's that? Me?
No, Joseph. It's been it's been really quiet. I'm not even sure if you're there anymore. I'm not sure if Joseph is there. Krishna, what about you? Do you want to take this one for Joseph?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, okay, yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, so please go ahead. So let's change that to Krishna. So go ahead. So you want to determine what the static IP will be?
Okay, first we need to convert the static IP to a binary digit. So we can figure out what is the first usable IP we can use.
Is there a simpler, straightforward way that you can use to determine this? That won't take you. Is there a simpler, straightforward way that you can use to determine this that won't take you more than 5 minutes? Without using
you can only give.
Without using a subnet calculator, of course. Is there any straightforward way that you can use? Zoe, what do you think? You want to help? Is there a straightforward way that you can use to determine the static IP or the range of IP addresses that you can give to devices on these networks?
No, not sure really.
Yeah, we need to practice IPv4 much more. Andy, you want to help? Straightforward, simple way that we can just use and say, okay, this is the range of IP addresses on this network. And
I'm sorry, I was just elsewhere. Sorry. So what do we do? We set up DNS zones, yeah?
Yeah, no, we're talking about like we need to determine what the IP address range will be for each network, so we can know what to give the devices.
Okay, so you want to find a method of calculating the IP addresses.
Yeah, so
The IP address range.
something that we can do within like 5 minutes. We have all our IP address range.
Oh goodness! Apart from the simplest way is to pull them off the top of your head and make them up. Yeah. If you're talking about some tool, you're not talking about IP address management, are you?
No, we're just talking about. So now we have a network. We have to determine which IP addresses we can give to our devices on this network.
Okay, so I mean, we've only got 4 devices here, haven't we? We've got a DC, we've got a client, we've got 2 DCs and 2 clients.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know about determining IP addresses. Again, you could just pull them out of thin air, really, couldn't you? I mean, at the head office here, you know, you create a scope for your head office.
Yep.
You create a scope for your site 1, which is Manchester. You'd have a scope for your servers. You'd have a separate scope for your clients.
But which scope will you use? What's the scope that you use? You have to use it. You have to give it a scope, but you have to know the range of the IP address.
You just have to.
Okay, so you talk about Class A, Class B, Class C, or Class D, yeah?
Not Class A, Class B. So you have this address. You have this address. You have to determine what the IP range is. So this is part of the 7410 in the IPv4, IPv6 section.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to determine what the IP addresses will be for.
Yeah, but you sort of like confusing me a bit because you're saying determine what it is.
Yeah.
We're building it, so we're defining what it is. We're not determining what it is. You can determine if it already exists.
Because
so we're deciding what it is. Yeah.
Because we already have a range already. So that's an IP address that's there. So you have an IP address in each site, right? So you have 34.5.6.1/30.
Yeah, but that's the internet facing.
No, not the internet facing. Yeah. So
isn't that the IP address of your router?
No, it's not.
Right, I see.
So that's for each site. So that's for the IP addresses for each site. So now we have to determine what the range is for each site.
I see. So okay, so 34.5.6.1 is the IP address of the router or the head office, yeah?
No, that's not the IP address. So the reason why I just gave you an IP is that you have an IP, you have a subnet mask. You have to calculate the first IP of the first IP in the range that this IP address is in, and the last IP address.
Okay.
From that, and you have to do the same thing for site 2. And the reason why we're mentioning this is that we know that in the real world, you can just bring up your subnet calculator. If you're not a networking guy, you can always bring out, Google, go to subnet calculator. But here's the thing: you will be doing an exam, and part of the exam, I can guarantee you that you get at least one question where Microsoft will ask you, what are the valid IP address ranges? You will get at least one question about that. When Microsoft will ask you what are the valid IP address ranges for this network.
Okay, so who here are the networking guys? Yeah, because remember I spoke at the start and I mentioned about knowledge gaps. Now, one of my knowledge gaps are networking and storage, and the reason I'm going through all these objectives is to solidify my gaps in networking and also my gaps in storage. When it comes to like server configuration and PowerShell and stuff, I pretty much got that nailed down. So who are the networking guys here?
So which is why we're here, yeah? Go ahead.
Okay. So let me ask this, David. Let me see if I'm on the right track here. If I can remember.
Yeah.
So on the /13, that's Class B, correct?
No. So
It's
again,
a Class A address.
do you remember? Were you in a hangout for the? Were you in a hangout when we were discussing IPv4?
No, I wasn't.
Krishna, you were definitely around because I remember we did some exercises that day.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my turn.
Okay. So I think let's pass it on to Krishna because forget everything about Class A, Class B addresses. That's like 1990s. There's no Class A, Class B addresses anymore. There's classless addressing. So any address can be in any class. And what's the way that you know which class they belong to, Krishna?
It's depending of the IP. Not
Not
the MAC,
subnet.
not the MAC address.
Exactly. So here's the thing is that they can be in any class that they want to be. It doesn't matter because we use classless addresses now. So they can give you anything. So forget about class A, class B, class C. That's all
Okay.
gone. Yeah.
So, but with /13,
Yeah.
we have like what, I think about 8 or so addresses.
So how did you get that number 8? That would be the first thing because that way you have a method, you have a methodology that you're following. So how did you get the number 8 to say we have 8 addresses?
Well, based on the subnet mask, if I can, I'm assuming it's going to be 255. 248 maybe just .00.00 or
So Krishna, do you agree with that? 255 is that /13?
Tell me, can you repeat, please?
I said so Joe says /13 will be 255 248. So do you agree with that? Or what do you think? /13, what is /13?
I'm calculating right now.
Yeah, no problem. Go
Give me
ahead.
a second.
Ricardo, you have anything?
well if I let me get this correct. So 32/32 would be 255 all the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we go from down there, going down after 24, we go back to 255.0, and then we go from there on. I mean, that's if I can remember correct. And I calculated by the time we reach 13, we should be at 255.248.
Yeah, so I'm saying Krishna, does Krishna agree with you or does Krishna disagree?
Come on,
I agree
Christian.
with Joseph. Based off my binary calculations that I know from the olden days.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Ricardo, you agree?
Yeah, you say 248, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So Zoe, you're in agreement also. 248.
No, I'm not. Just kind of calculated,
Yep.
but not
Okay.
sure yet.
No problem. That's why it's challenge lab. So you let us
Yeah,
know.
the thing is, we need to calculate how many bits we have available for host section. So we have 19, I think. Let me think. Yeah, we have 19 bits for host. So we need to calculate the total of that minus 2 hosts.
Well, for /13, I think we should have a total of 8, and then 2 will be unused. So we should probably have 6 usable IPs for the hosts. I mean, 1 will be for the router and 1 will be the broadcast. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so we'll have 6 usable IPs.
6 usable IPs. Krishna, anything? So you have 34.5.6.1. That's an IP address, not a network. And
Yeah,
Yep.
255,
248.
sorry. Sorry. 248.0.0, right? That's your
Yeah,
subnet
right.
mask. Okay. So in this case, which octet are you dealing with? You're dealing with this octet, right? The second octet.
Yeah, the second one.
Yeah. So So you're dealing with the second octet now. So if you're dealing with the second octet, which increment will you go in the second octet? Which increment will you go in? 128, 64, 32,
32,
16,
60,
8,
8.
4, 2, 1. So which increment will you go in? /13. So 8.
It'll be
7.
8.
Exactly. So you're going in increment of 8. So that means the very first network will be from 34.0.6.1. sorry, 34.0.0.0.
Yeah.
That'll be the first network. Then the next network will be what? 34.
34.0.0.
No,
Oh,
no.
sorry, that 8. Sorry, yeah, correct.
And the next one will be what? What will be the next network?
34.
34.16.0.0.
And okay, so this one, what will be the last? So this will be the first address. What will be the last address on this network?
34.7.
Mm-hmm.
Dot 255.254. So, is it?
So Zoe is asking me, hey, hello Zoe, are you there? Hey, can you see? And Zoe, are you there?
We lost Zo.
Um,
Okay.
okay. Hello Zoe, how are you doing? Hello? Hello Zoe. Okay. Yeah. So you get dot 255 dot what? So basically you've solved the question, right? Because this is your IP range. So you can give your so you can't use the first address and you can't use the last address. So what are the usable addresses in this range? 34 dot what?
Dot
0. 0.1.
Dot 1 to what?
34.7.
Dot
Mm. Dot 0.
dot 0.
No, to dot
34.7.255.254.
Dot what?
254. No,
254.
yeah.
So why can't you use dot 0 and dot 255?
One is a network address and one is a broadcast address.
Exactly. Good one. Good one. Who answered that?
Ricardo.
Yeah, we should give you like 3 points for that. Something. Yeah. So there you go. So you've sorted the first one. So now you can use any address between this range for your network. So you can probably put that on your network. So your job is to calculate the second one now. So your job will be to calculate. Yeah. So this is for this one. So yeah. So the second one you have this one. So you calculate what are the addresses that you can give to devices on this network. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So that's that's the next task. Because this is all part of the things that we discussed in our 7410. In our 7410 topics, is we must know how to quickly calculate, networks, what IP addresses you can use on this network. Okay, so carry on. So who wants to take this one?
So this one will be moving by /25. That should be 126. So it'll be 29.7, 29. Subnet mask 255, 255, 128.
Yeah, good one. So you go 255.255.255.128. Okay, so what will be your increment?
For this one, it'll be 126.
Might really be 126. So increment would be
Around
the
one.
the bit,
The bit. Oh.
the bit, the last, the network bit. That's what your increment is. So you got 128, you got 64,
64,
you got 32,
2, 8, 4, 2.
32, 16, 8, 4, 2. So which bit are you dealing with here?
Here with
Because you have 25.
128.
Exactly, you have 26,
Yeah,
you have
128.
27, you have 28, you have 29, you have 30, you have 31, right?
Yeah.
You have 32. So if you have, so it's basically really, really simple. It's really, really simple and straightforward. If you have anything that is /25, you're going in an increment of 128 in any subnet that you, sorry, in any octet that you're in. If you're going if anything is /26, you're going in increment of 64. If anything is /27, you're going in increment of 32. If anything is /28, you're going in increment of 16. If anything is /29, you're going in increment of 8. So this one is /25, you're going in increment of 128 in the last octet. So basically, what will be your net? So that will be 29.7.7. What's the first network? The first network. Anyone? First network.
Hello?
Hello. So what's the first network?
Oh, okay. Okay, 29.7.7 should be 0.
Yeah, 0. So
Yeah.
what will be the next one? Next network.
29.7.7.128.
Yeah, it's simple. You're going in increment of 128. So you always start at 0 and you keep going. If the subnet mask is /26, so let's say we go here, we'll remove this one completely. It's like, okay, we're not even using /25 anymore. Now we're using /26. What will be your networks on this in this range? What will be your networks?
.0.64
What will be the
continue.
first network?
29.7.7.
Yeah.
.0.
.0. The next one will be
29.7.764.
yeah. The next one will be
29.7. 7, and that should be 128.
yeah. And what will be the last address on this network, on the 0 network?
29.7.7.63.
Yeah, good one. And what will be the last address on
Should
this
it be
network?
62?
No, it won't be 62.
Because we need 2 addresses to reserve, right?
Yeah, but this one we're talking about the old network. So now
Yeah.
we're not talking about usable addresses. Then usable addresses on this network will be what?
1 to 62.
Exactly.
Oh,
7.7.1 to 29.7.7.62. Because 0 will be your what?
Network.
And 63 will be your what?
broadcast.
So let's go down here. So on this one, what will be your first, what will be your last address on this network?
127.
29.91.7.7.127. What will be your usable addresses?
65 to 126.
29.7.7.65 to 29.7.7.126. Okay, now we got this one right. Let's cancel all this. Let's say we've given you /29. It's not /26, it's /29. What will be the first network?
29.7.7.0.
Yeah, second network.
29.7.7.7. dot 6.
29.
Oh, 29. Oh, 8.
Next one.
29.7.7. 16.
No problems, Ricardo. So what will be the last address on this network, on the zero network?
Is that for Ricardo?
No. Ricardo says it will be right back. So I said no problem.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be 29.7.7.7.
Yep. And what will be the usable addresses?
Dot 1
1
to dot 6.
Exactly. So let's cancel this. Let's end with this. So if I've given you one that is /20/31, what will be the first network?
That's for you, so.
Okay, so 29.7.7.0,
Yeah. What will be the second one?
29.7.7.2.
Good one. So what will be the last address on this one?
It will be 29.7.7.1.
Exactly. So you already have the concept. So the concept is once you can figure out so if they give you /25, once you can figure out the number that it matches and you can figure out the increment that you're going, that's it.
David, can you just quickly explain me this bit because your voice was off and I was trying to connect the top bit, this 128. I know that this number ladder, how it works, this is the bit. But what you're doing in the down 25, 26, 27, 28, what is that supposed to mean?
So if they give you anything and they say /27, that's what it means.
Yeah.
So if
Or
they say
13 over there, right?
so
Whatever.
yeah, so basically you have an IP address to go let's say 128, that's the values of the bits, so 64, 64, 32, 16, 8,
8421.
4, 2, 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you basically go dot the same thing again, all over again. Then the same thing all over again. Yeah, let's cancel all this. Yeah, dot same thing all over again, dot same thing all over again, and it's gonna be dot same thing all over again, dot same thing all over again. So if they've given you an IP address and they've given you a subnet mask, the subnet mask will probably be slash something. If they're giving
Yeah.
you /1 is this one,
Yeah.
/2 is this one, /3 is this one, /4 is this one, /5 is this one. You get the point? So
Yeah.
it's the same thing. So you keep going down till you get to this one, which will be /25 here, /26 here, right?
Yeah.
/27 here. This one, if we go back here, this one will be /17 here. You get the point? So
Yeah. So
every
after 5, it will be 6, right? Like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 until you
exactly
reach.
till 17 to that. So if they've given you anything, all you need to do is know which number it matches at the top. That's the increment you're going. So if they've given you /5 means you'll be going in increment of 8 in the first octet.
Yeah.
If they're giving you /17, it means you'll be going in increment of 128 in the third octet. If they're giving you /26, it means you'll be going in increment of 64 in the
It will
last
be fourth
octet.
octet.
Yeah, so that's the point. So once you can figure that out, if they're giving you this one, you just go /25. /25 equals what? So you basically just think about it in your mind. /25 equals 128. That would be 128 in the last octet. So that means the first network will be .0, last network will be .128. You get the point? So
Yeah.
from then you can quickly, just in your mind, you can quickly calculate and say, okay, that means this one will be 29.7.7.0 to 29.7.7.127. Of course, you know you can't use 127, so the only ones you can use and 126 and 1.
So if you are going in the last octet, that means that it's because the first 3 octet will be the network one, right? And the last octet will be the host one.
No, again, forget about all that, because all that, remember, when we were discussing IPv4 and IPv6, there's nothing like all those classes again. All those ones are gone. So the only thing that matters now is the subnet mask. There's nothing
Okay.
like class A, class B, class C, all those ones, throw them out of the window. That's like 1990s. So
Yeah,
now, the
this
only
method is
thing,
much more easier.
yeah, so now the only thing, exactly. So now you can basically calculate. So if they give you anything in your exam, if they say, so what is the usable, or they say Ricardo or Andrew or anyone, what's the usable IP
Valid host.
addresses on this one? So all you need to do is go, if they've given you in the format slash something, you can basically go slash something. What does that match up with? If they say slash 14, so you go slash 14 is what? Um, so you got 8, you got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That is 6, number 6 in the second octet. So number 6 in the second octet is what? Is 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4. So that means you're going in increment of 4 in the second octet. So yeah, I hope that helps. So at least you have your IP addresses now. So what's the next thing you want to do? So you have your IP addresses. So what's the next thing you want to do?
We will give the domain controller an IP, static IP. The
Okay.
first IP should go to the,
So say your domain controller will have, which IP do you want to give to it?
I think the first one, the first valid IP, which
34
will
dot,
be 34.5.6.
no, this is the IP address down here.
Okay. Where
34
was it?
34.0.0 dot.
How about we give the first one to the DNS?
So actually the DNS and the DHCP and the DC will be one system. So it won't matter anyway.
Oh,
Are
okay.
you going to set up Active Directory as well on this?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's on the one. Okay.
Yeah. And what do you want to give your default gateway?
Now that'll be 34.0.0.
You can give it anything you want, yeah? Dot zero dot zero dot.
Let's make it 254.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, not bad. Yeah, 254.
Be easier.
Yeah. And yeah, so once you determine that, you're also using that for your DHCP. So you're saying this is site 1. So you're saying when you're setting up your DHCP site 1, what will you use for your DHCP scope? So you're calculating that also.
Be 34.0.0.2.
But in the real world, what would you advise? Andrew, in the real world, Andrew, you work in this. In the real world, how would you advise configuring your DHCP scope?
So I'm just flipping my screens there. Right, okay. Right, set up DHCP.
So
Essentially, for DHCP, configuring that is essentially, if you think about DHCP, I tend to think, okay, all we're doing is we're configuring our clients' IP addresses. So it's a numbers game, isn't it? So it's determining what figures, what settings we are going to be deploying to our clients, yeah? So we're using static IP addresses on the servers, I take it, yeah? And then we're going to be using DHCP on the clients. So the question is, what do we want to configure on the clients? Yeah? So, settings. We want...
yeah, I'm not sure if what Andrew said is clear. Because what Andrew is saying is you have to separate your big IP address pool. You have to separate it into two. You say this one for the servers, this one for the client. So the ones that you put in your DHCP are the ones for your client. Will you put the one for your servers in DHCP?
Oh, so you want to separate you want to give statics to the server, to the servers, and the dynamic to the clients?
Essentially, from my own opinion,
Yeah.
we all give our opinion now. So from my own opinion,
I mean, this is generally the way I've worked at about 20, 30 different companies,
yeah,
and pretty much this is the way everyone works. You know, nobody that I know of would ever use DHCP on servers. You know, even in today's ever changing server farms or whatever, even if thousands of servers and stuff, they generally have static IP addresses.
yeah,
Again, in terms of like I've worked for banking groups and the like, and again they always use they've got hundreds of internet facing servers and the like, all static. So like so that should be the model we're going with. Again, so we're talking about just configuring the clients, yeah, when we're talking about DHCP.
yeah.
So in terms of the scope itself, we want the IP address, the scope, which is the IP range. We're talking default gateway, DNS servers. What else?
Is it version time?
Version time.
Main name. Well, I'm really for this in terms of the test lab and stuff. I won't worry about time servers and the like. But again, we want to. There's a scope option for configuring the domain name, isn't there? For literally. Where are we? Let's jump to a command prompt here. Essentially, this is what we're configuring. Right. IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, and where's the actual domain name itself? There's an option in there for the actual domain name, domainname.com or domainname.local. Can't actually see it on there. It's obviously not available on your router. So
I've got this is like a lab machine with lots of.
Okay. Yeah, you've got pretty much everything, and that's pretty much it, really. I don't think there's anything else other than that to configure, really, is there?
Yeah. So basically, you're right. So basically, now you have to put down and say, okay, what's the default gateway for site 1? You already have your default gateway IP, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what will be your DNS for site 1? You already have your DNS IP, right?
Yeah.
Because your DC is your DNS.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you already have your domain name for it. And then your IP range for site 1. So what do you want that to be for your client? So you have all this bunch of IPs. You have to separate them and say these are the ones for the client. So which ones do you want? You can choose anything you want. You already have 0 and 254 for your domain controller and your default gateway. So what do you want for your IP range for your client?
We only have one client.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what I was saying before. I was saying, we've only got 4 servers here.
Mm-hmm.
If we wanted to, to begin with, we're talking about configuring server roles and configuring DFS, configuring whatever. Well, we've digressed heavily into networking, and we're looking. You see, this is what happens sometimes in technology in the real world. There's the issue of overthinking a simple scenario. Now, this is a very simple scenario where we've got 4 clients, and if I was on a customer site and they were spending this amount of time that we spent configuring and discussing IP addresses, I'd go ape on them. Seriously, I'd be like, I'd write down 4 IP addresses and I'd march out of the room, which is what you probably do.
To me, I think here's the main difference. I'll tell you the main difference to me. Like when I was studying for my MCSE, I did the official Microsoft training course. I went for the old training for more than a year. Every Saturday I was in class doing like the old training. And I loved the training. The instructor was really good. We had a nice time. We had nice discussions and everything like that in class. But one of the main downfalls of the whole program is that they teach you a different standard in the lab and they expect you to apply a different standard in the real world. And it doesn't work that way. You see people carry over habits from the lab into the real world. So Microsoft has this thing they call best practices, right? And they have all this bunch of documents that they say these are the best practices for deploying DHCP, these are the best practices for deploying DNS, and these are the best practices for securing your Windows servers. But when you get to the official Microsoft training course that I did, they'll ask you switch off the firewall, switch off the firewall so that you can get this working. The goal is just get it working and go away. But in the real world, I mean, you come to the kind of company that I work now, you switch off the firewall, you can get fired for it. So it's kind of like developing habits. So the whole point of all these things that we're doing is kind of like simulating a project. How would you approach a project? So you're working for like a project in the real world. You have to work with other people. You have to be able to bring up a point and defend the point. You have to be able to arrange your tasks. You have to be able to break down something that is a complex that the company is like, okay, we want this. You have to be able to break that down into smaller tasks. So it's kind of like a way of developing real world thinking in a lab environment. So that's one of I mean, that's from my own perspective, that's like the benefit that I see to it. Because you see a lot of people, just let's get it working in the lab, but then that same habit carries over into the real world. So if you can't be organized, I've seen people like, they're not, well, it's not all the time, but people typically, if they're not like organized in their lab environment of saying, okay, I'm following this best practice, I'm arranging it according to this one in the lab, usually when they get to the real world, they usually struggle because they have the lab mentality of let's just disable the firewall, let's get it working, you know, let's disable this one, let's get that working, let's just put this one, put this one, and let's just make sure that because if you think about it, most of the things that we're discussing, they are not difficult or complex.
Indeed,
Configuring a DC is not difficult, it's not complex. Configuring DHCP or DNS or WDS or DFS, it's not difficult, it's not complex at all. It's only like a 2-minute, 3-minute job. But one of the things you see is that in the real world, you have a lot of processes that you have to follow. And many of these processes, many of them got them from like best practices documents that they've read and all that stuff. So, I mean, that's from my own perspective.
David, have you got web access on this machine?
What?
Have you got web access on this machine? Yeah.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do.
Okay, I've just sent over a link. Can you call it up, please? Bring that up. It's
yeah, sure.
I've just pasted it in there. It's the checklist installing a DHCP server.
Yeah. So let's bring this up. So if nothing, I think the main thing that we should take away, if anything, from like this little exercise that we've done today, is how to like take any tasks that we're given and how to break it down into smaller tasks.
Yeah, what I tend to do is this is me. Let me quickly jump in.
Yeah.
Anytime I get any scenario like this, I cheat. Yeah, I don't believe in reinventing the wheel and stuff. So something like this, again, if it's something I haven't sort of like done every day standing on my head, I'd always try and do a bit of research and try and get hold of the best practices guide. There's Microsoft have a series called Infrastructure Planning and Design Guides. So again, if it's something where you've not done the architecture on your head, I always look up something like this. And again, as you can see here, we've got it bullet pointed very clearly here, haven't we? Do you know what I mean? Review the concepts, determine the IP address range for which you're going to need, manually configure the properties of a DHCP server computer, install the role, open the console, authorize it in Active Directory, and hit upside. Trying to scroll the mouse there now. Here, I mean, this is stuff which I've done like tens of times, hundreds, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I've done about 30 or so times. Every time I've built it, whatever, and then till I'm bored, whatever. And this is essentially all the points you need.
Yeah.
And I would say, from a training perspective, familiarize yourself with this, and if you can, if you're familiar with all these steps and all these points and stuff, and you can just go to machine and you can install DHCP confidently, and you're familiar with all these best practices and stuff, I would leave it as that. I wouldn't really drill down further into that, because what we're moving over into when we're talking about determining the IP range of the server and the IP range scopes of your clients and the like, and working out exactly how many machines per subnet and the like, what we're moving into is the area of architecture and
But Andrew, I got a question, Andrew.
Sure.
Yeah, but the problem is when you're taking the test, you can't pull up the checklist.
Yeah, because the other thing is actually like
And
the
these
old.
days, everybody is asking for these questions for like hiring somebody, like how to do subnetting and like basic question going to any company. And
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
but when you're taking the test, if you don't understand the basic, the underlying theory and also how to actually do it, I mean, you can't pull up the checklist on the test. So
of
you
course,
gotta know, you gotta set it. Yeah, so
yeah,
you gotta
I
know.
get.
And Microsoft will go best on best practices. When I'm assuming when they give you the test, what's the best practices?
Like
Here's the thing in the actual test here. I don't think. I mean, here's my experience from real world. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I first started doing my first Microsoft certifications, I studied Vista and I studied Windows 7. Now, when Windows 7, I was studying that, they had they had a section on IP version 6. And Windows 7 was the first exam that came out with IP version 6. Pretty much all of the technologies that Microsoft came out with at the time, direct access, pretty much everything required IP version 6. So I learned about all the IP version 6 methods, all the IP version 6 transitional methods, and everything to do with it, basically. I spent like several weeks on it. And when it came to the actual exam, there wasn't a single question on IP version 6. Not a single one.
Yeah, then that brings us to another question, which another discussion of when studying for exams, the goal should be getting the certification as well, at least from the way I see it, as well as studying to understand the technologies also.
Oh, indeed, yeah.
Because even sometimes, like many times, like one may not get that question in the exam, but then there's still that benefit to it that because I've been motivated by an exam, I got to learn about a technology.
Indeed.
Which is also like which I agree with what Andrea said, like in terms of like it's true that things can get like overcomplicated sometimes and all that, but yeah, because like sometimes like Microsoft intentionally sometimes they put things that they know that you probably won't be using in the real world, they put them in the exam just sort of like a marketing scheme for them to, because once
And,
you're forced to learn it in the exam, maybe you're going to recommend it to your employers at work or something like that. But as well, even with that, I still think there's like still some benefits to even just still learning about it, even though you know, well, I'm not gonna use, because there's one other thing is that in IT, technologies are linked together. So even when one learns about a technology that you're not using in Microsoft World, maybe you get a product down the line and you find out that they've integrated the same technology that you learned years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the old saying they say, there's the right answer, the wrong answer, and there's the Microsoft answer.
exactly, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I would caution you about over looking, too deep into things that you're not going to be tested on. And again, it's like I said, the reason I'm doing this certification is to fill in the gaps and learn this kind of thing. But there's such a thing as information overload. You can actually overstudy, and this particular what we've been discussing for the last hour doesn't actually appear on the exam objectives. It's not on the exam objectives at all.
It is actually it is.
Well, actually, I think it does.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is the exam.
for me.
This is the
It's for
exam
me.
objective. This is the exam objective
Yeah.
for
Which
7410.
what are we covering here then?
So this is 7410. So this is this one. This is on this one. So core network planning, core network deployment. So this is under this one. So actually, like if you see, I think I have the main book, but I have it on my main laptop here. So under the main book, because I actually did the official course. I went to the classroom for the official course. We spent a whole class discussing IPv4 and IPv6 in the official Microsoft course. So this is actually like a big part of 7410, where Microsoft really went into details of planning subnet and actually goes into like lots of details about, IPv4 and not only IPv4, IPv6. I remember the 7410 that we did, we were configuring ISATAP in the class. So that is 74, that was 7410, I mean, in the official course. So
Yeah.
I remember we were configuring ISATAP and we're doing IPv4 to IPv6 translation.
Yeah, I mean, I did that. This is what I'm saying. I studied Isotop, I studied Teredo, I studied 6 to 4 in IP version 6, and then in the exam, zero questions on it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. But then the other thing is that I want to think about it. There's still a benefit of at least I learned it now.
Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, it might
Yeah, I think what they're trying to do is you're probably thinking more of you just want to study just the exam, what's going to be on the exam. But I think Microsoft is going to where this is once you actually get the certificate, even if you didn't get tested on it, you should know how to configure IPv6. So even if we didn't test you, but because we told you these are the materials that you might be tested on, you should know it already in case you actually get employed and the employer say, oh, you have an MCSE, so you should know how to deploy DHCP. You should know how to set up IPv6 because that's one part of the learning experience when you're checking the MCSE. So even if Microsoft doesn't test you on it, you expect it to know it anyways because it should be part of it. So
I see Andrew's point. I see Andrew's point, and I actually like agree. Like majority of the things in terms of like many things are better taught somewhere else, but Microsoft sometimes, it's true. Microsoft sometimes cramps too much into their stuff. But yeah, I mean, until a competitor comes out to beat Microsoft out of the market, we're all stuck learning Microsoft. Until maybe Linux can make product as good as Microsoft. I didn't say that. So you didn't hear me, right? That was why you didn't say anything.
I'm glad nobody is here from Red Hat, so they would have,
Yeah. Okay. So actually, like, yeah. So one of the main things that I was thinking, like, to take away from this, because one of the main questions that we get asked, and I think that Andrew probably, I mean, it's nice to have Andrew in the community and that, because one of the things that Andrew can help us with with the community is how things really work in like the consulting work in the real world. You get the point? Because many people, I can tell you like how many people come with the questions of if I'm, how do I go about this task if I'm given this task, you know, or how do I start with this issue if I'm given this issue? So that was one of the reasons why I was thinking that maybe we should try to achieve this to say, okay, if you're given a project, how to go about it is to first of all take the project, break it down to say these are the things I need to do. After listing, these are the things I need to do. Then you break it down and say, what do I need to do to achieve this one? So you're like, okay, we want you to configure this one and this one and this one for us. Okay, I need to configure a domain controller. What do I need to configure a domain controller? So are the kind of questions you'll be asking them in the real world. Okay, so hold on, what do you want your domain name to be? Okay, hold on. So I'm going to be splitting this IP address scope into two. This will be the server, which will be static. This will be the client, which will be on DHCP. So how many clients? Those are the kind of things that we help. And another kind of thing, just knowing how to take a big, job, a big task that people has given to you, how to break it down to say, these are the things I need to do. So what do I need to do to accomplish this? What do I need to do to accomplish this? What do I need to do to accomplish this? And that way you find out that one of the main aim is to prove that, this one, it may look complex on the screen, but all of a sudden when you break it down to say these are the things I need to do, like Andrew said, you find out that actually it's simple, you know. But why have you made it look overcomplicated? You get the point? Which is what Andrew was trying to say that, actually it's a simple thing, but why try to make it look overcomplicated? When in the real world, people do try to make things look overcomplicated. Especially if you work with a lot of IT people, I tell you, like IT people
Indeed,
can
yeah.
overcomplicate things. I tell you, you know, you work with people from like IT solutions and stuff like that. They can make things overcomplicated. But then it's our job that when they bring like things that make it look complicated, our job is to take that thing, break it down into smaller pieces, separate it, then we'll find out that this thing is actually simple. It's actually straightforward. It's actually not complex.
Yeah, let me share some real world experience there
Yeah,
because
carry on.
I've worked in companies
Yeah.
that all sizes. I've worked in public sector companies where it's like a couple hundred people to tens of thousands to companies where it's like a couple hundred thousand
Mm.
users. Companies where it's like 400,000 worldwide. Now, last organisation I was at had like about what did they have? They had about 10,000 clients, 10,000 users,
Mm.
and like they, aren't the type of organization, public sector organization. They would not spend this amount of resources,
Mm.
round tabling, discussing, and spending this much time discussing, the actual scopes and whatever. They just simply assign it to whoever had that particular job role and hope for the best of it in a lot of cases.
Ah,
And in a lot of organisations, they pigeonhole everybody, and
ah,
you hire an architect basically in some cases to design all this out for you, and then they'd actually send over whatever they've designed to that individual. But in a lot of companies, you'd be surprised just how little planning they actually do in a lot of cases. And I'm not saying to follow that suit or whatever, or to follow those bad practices of whatever. But I'm just saying in terms of what I'm trying to achieve today. I'm trying to develop my low level skills on Windows
mm,
Server 2012 R2,
mm,
and pretty much I know that networking comes heavily into this exam,
mm.
but jumping this low level into networking, I just thought was a bit a bit far too low level for
I
what I
tell
was
you,
looking for.
with that, like my own experience, like where I currently work, the experience is actually like opposite, because I
Hmm.
actually think that we probably do like too much meetings probably. But
Hmm.
here's the thing. But when I first started, I was like, is this not too much? But then I started seeing a lot of wisdom in it. Because
Hmm.
what happens when we all come together, like at the beginning of the week, we argue two times in a week, all of our IT infrastructure guys will gather together in a room, we discuss like the tasks that we're doing, and basically you get all these other intelligent IT infrastructure guys questioning you, about your task, you know, about because it's a really big company, so they're questioning you about what you're doing, how what you're doing is going to affect, their own side, how this one is going to affect their own side. Because you make one little mistake, it can have like lots of chain effect because this one depends on this one, and this one depends on this one, and the other one depends on the other one. So we do have a lot of meetings, and then you see things that are brought out that you probably didn't think about before, and then someone is asking you a question. So okay, so when you do move that DNS name, you realize that this application may be using that DNS name, or this application is using that DNS name. This application that exists like 10 years ago before you started is using the application. You're like, oh, I didn't know that application that was using the application. So you start hearing, ideas that you never even thought of when they were saying, okay, before you decommission that, put Wireshark on it, capture all the packets on it and find out what exactly is using that application. Otherwise, we're not going to sign off on you decommissioning the server. So it brings out a lot of things that, at least from my own experience, it brings out a lot of things when I get, in a meeting room like that when we're planning, and then you get challenged constantly, you know. So it makes everyone do like a lot of digging to make sure that you get everything right before you come into the meeting to say, okay, this is the change I want to be doing. I want you to approve this change. Because your change will definitely get challenged every single week. You know, the security guy will challenge you. We have like just three people dedicated to security. They will challenge you heavily on what you're doing, how it's going to impact security,
Hmm.
and they will challenge you on the vulnerabilities. And the data center guy will challenge you. The storage guy will challenge you. Everybody will challenge you on their own side. And it brings up like the best in all of us because basically we get challenged on every area that we're dealing with. So we get to plan very well, get to make sure, and that way, like um, most of our changes go more smoothly that way because we get everyone's perspective and everyone is looking at it from their own perspective, and most of our changes go much more smoothly than if I just go ahead and make the change without discussing to anybody. Then later I'm like, oh, 2 weeks later, somebody's like, something is not working anymore, and then they trace it back to the change I made and stuff like that. So there's a whole lot of things that is to still be involved in and everything. But
Indeed.
that
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Let's jump back to the whiteboard.
yeah,
Let's get through it.
because the thing though is that I think this may be probably where we'll have to pause for today. Um,
Well, this is time's run out.
yeah, exactly. But here's the thing: is that did anybody enjoy our discussion today? Did you get anything from our discussion today?
Yes, I really enjoyed it and obviously learned quite a bit really like in a real world scenario that I've discussed it with you earlier because I don't want like a more button pushing approach. Like I know I've been doing a lot of labs and stuff
Yeah,
and then I'm just trying to connect the dot.
yeah.
So it's gonna give me more grasp as a like a very junior person in terms of in this area.
Yeah. Andrew, actually, you'll be surprised at how many people you'll be surprised at, at how many people enjoy like the kind of discussions that we just had. I remember
Oh,
one
indeed,
of the
yeah.
I remember one of the early sessions that we did on DNS, and I was mentioning something about DNS, and one guy was challenging me, was like, actually, no, DNS can do, and we had like some discussions, and we were bringing up documents, and he was bringing up documents, and I was bringing up documents, and I was bringing up documents, and at the end of the day, so the guys were like, "This is the best session I've ever had because you get to see things from a lot of perspective. It makes you more
Oh, yeah.
intelligent and
Indeed,
stuff
yeah.
like that. It does. So actually, me, I'm not sure. Even though we've not like accomplished that much on like the the work that we actually wanted to do, but I have learned a lot from like the whole discussion and everything, and it's been a pleasure and all that stuff. Yeah. So what do you think, Krishna? What do you think? Or Joe, what do you think? Because Krishna is quiet now.
I think it was very informative. I mean, I like the fact how you we broke down the project because initially everybody was quiet on starting the project because it looked like it was a huge task. Nobody wanted to know what to do.
Mhm.
So, I mean, after we started putting down things on the notepad and, start bringing down, then everybody's like, oh, yeah, you need this too. Oh, yeah, this. So it's like, I kind of like the group thing where we had a big project and we had to break it down. And I think that was very nice. And it just gives me an idea on how I can tackle this specific task or even the project when they tell you something like this, how would you go about it? Oh, okay, let me do this first. Oh, yeah, I'll do this. And I think that's the best part of it, is those skills that we can use during the test on how to, come about the answer. So hopefully it will help us out.
Yeah. Ricardo, what about you? What do you think?
Ricardo is I think not there.
Ricardo is muted and Krishna also. Yeah.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So what do you think? Like, did you get anything from all our discussions and anything today?
Yeah, I like the way the interactivity of the group.
Yeah, I
You
think
know
so.
what I
I
mean?
like it
Like a
also.
true team, because this is one of the best part of this group. We work like a team to get the result together. So I like that way
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah. And then there's like
This
different
is
perspective. The different perspective I think is really, really important and it's really, really good. Cause
yeah, yeah, that's the way.
cause all you may not know, Andrew may not know, but I've actually learned like some things today, Yeah, I've actually learned some things today, and I've seen some things today. And it's that kind of a thing that where someone is bringing up something, and then the other person is bringing up something from another side that is seeing it from this other side, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's actually true. That's actually true.
David,
Yeah, carry on.
one quick question. The way you are explained the IP addressing,
Mhm.
where did you find this method from? Because there are like so many YouTube
So,
videos and
yeah, someone posted a video on the community page. I think it was Scott Reed. So if you look in the community page, Scott Reed posted a very good video that just basically it focuses on IP addressing from the MCSA side. So I think
Okay,
it's a
I
free
will just
signal
check it, and
project.
then because I would like to post
I'll
this
look
on
for that.
the blog as well.
Yeah. So it's a
Yeah, I definitely need to read up on this as well. How long ago was this that Scott posted it?
the video you mean?
Yeah.
I think it was about 50 minutes. 50 minutes of video on just IP
No,
addressing.
no. When did he post it so I can find it on the page?
Oh, okay, yeah. I think I will look for it. Let me look for it on the page.
Awesome.
So yeah.
And you were mentioning about some PowerShell training as well. Can you post the
Yeah,
link, please?
exactly, Andrew. Yeah, the partial things that you mentioned.
Oh right, yeah. Okay, I'll post some PowerShell resources. Yeah, and some. There's actually a pretty good series on YouTube by Don Jones, so I'll send that up as well,
Yeah,
and I'll post a couple of links to his books as well. Definitely.
yeah.
Okay, thanks,
Definitely be
man.
appreciated. Definitely be appreciated. So let's see the video that was posted on IP addressing. Will anybody be taking advantage of the free Microsoft exam before the end of this year? Is anyone looking to do any of those exams?
What? Hold on. There's free what?
Someone is sounding excited there.
If it's free, it's for me.
No, yeah, but I think I still have a voucher because Microsoft have free Office 365 and free Azure exams.
I think it's a very good thing if you do like 365, you can pass MCSA with another paper like 410, 411, and 365 makes you an MCSA.
Yeah. But then
Can you, David, if you
Yeah.
can send those free information to me?
That's on the page also. Someone posted it on the page. Okay, yeah, I found the
Yeah,
one.
there was a link where you get a free voucher for Office 365.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, studying the MCSA as well as the Office 365
Yeah.
before Christmas, no chance.
Yeah.
Absolutely no chance.
Yeah, the thing is you have to do it before Christmas. That's what it's
And
about.
Microsoft is moving to some other vendor now. I think the
Yeah.
Pearson.
I think that's
If anybody, I've actually sent clicked on the link and got one of the vouchers. So if anybody feels they can pass the exam before Christmas, hit me up. You can have my voucher by all means.
Yeah, actually, I also have one extra voucher. So if anyone wants to go for it, send me a message.
Which one?
No, if you can use it for any one of
You can use it for Azure or Office 365. Well, basically some of the free cloud exams, some of the cloud exams that aren't so popular at the moment.
Yeah. So basically, I think what Microsoft is doing is they probably still have some contract with Prometric, where Prometric will provide this amount of exams. So since they're moving off, they're like, yeah, we just throw all this for free. But let's use it to market Azure and Office 365.
I think it's pretty. It's kind of bad that they've given away free vouchers at this time when Prometric is about to end.
Yeah.
Especially these people who bought exam voucher packs.
Mm-hmm.
Those are going to expire at the same time as well. So literally, you're going to have absolutely no chance of getting an exam booked in the next few weeks now.
Yeah.
Absolutely no chance.
Yeah.
So even if you did get the vouchers, I'd be surprised if you get a free slot.
I think I saw some free slots still, because I was thinking I was still contemplating it, but I'm like, but I was thinking it's free anyway. If I don't pass it, it makes no difference. Like, it would just give me a little motivation to read a little bit more about Azure. Actually, yeah. So I posted the video that the guy posted on the community page in the chat section, and I'm looking for the free voucher that that Joe is so excited about. Let me look for that page. Where is this? Born to learn. Okay, let me just Google it. Born to learn free exam, Microsoft free exam. Okay, here we go. So I'll send you the link. But I think it's probably expired now. So, but if you do need a voucher, like Andrew said, you can contact Andrew. Andrew said he's got some vouchers, and I also have one.
Yeah, I've got one. So yeah, feel free to hit me up.
Which one do you have, Andrew?
Well, it's one voucher that entitles you to take any of the free exams, either Azure or Office 365. So it's the same voucher.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let me go check on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if it's free, I mean, I got what? I got
No,
26 days.
well, yeah, but it's your time, isn't it? Are you gonna take the time to study for a couple of weeks, go into a testing center? There's no way you're gonna pass the Office 365 exam in 2 weeks. Come on.
3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah. I mean,
You can
I,
attempt
I,
it.
I can tell you from experience. I studied Office 365 as part of the MCSA for Windows 8.1,
Mhm.
and I spent a whole month on it,
Mhm.
and I was still weak.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
But
set up
yeah.
an actual 365 tenant, and I was still weak. So
Why
Well,
was
I mean,
why was
I'm
gonna carry on, Joe?
no, I mean, I've been, I mean, I'm using 365. We have that on our department. We use that, so I've been using it. So
okay.
I just never thought I would ever need to get certified on it. I mean, I don't see the point. That's like getting certified from Microsoft Word. Why?
What what do you mean? What do you mean, Joe? You don't want certification for Microsoft Word. You don't want to be
What,
MCSE
who
Microsoft Word.
who would pay attention to you? Yeah, I'm certified Microsoft Word. Okay, what can you do? Write a paper? You know, it's like
Yeah, but Office 365, in order for the exam objectives, you've got to set up an Office 365 tenant in Microsoft,
yeah.
in the cloud. You've got to learn about Active Directory integration. You've got to learn about the processing order, Active Sync, and everything. It's a lot. It's very, very complicated. There's a whole heap of PowerShell commandlets for automating and creating user accounts in Active Directory. There's Click to Run, which is the technology used to install Office 365. There's also a bunch of other methods for installing and deploying it. It's huge. It's absolutely huge.
but it's not as complicated as, let's say, other ones like 7010, 7011. It's not as complicated. It doesn't go too much. It doesn't go too much into different fields. It gets stuck into that one particular area. I mean,
Yeah, but there's one objective which is set to Office 365 application compatibility, and that is a huge area. That would take you several weeks just to learn that. So it is huge. I wouldn't sniff at it anyway.
Yeah. So nice one, man. Nice hangout, man. So yeah, so we'll carry on. So I think this is a Saturday or Sunday. We got one on Active Directory backup and recovery. Because lots of people have been asking about a hangout on Active Directory backup and recovery. So the way we usually work with a hangout is we do one topic per week. But this week we're just stopping that for this week, and probably we're going to do that for next week and then resume again after that.
David, are we going to continue this one again for the EST group, or is it
Yeah, I think we'll continue for the GMT group. Yeah.
tomorrow?
now,
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah.
okay, so but tomorrow, what time is this? I see it's
7.
2. Is it the same time or it's different? Why mine says 2
Yeah.
p.m. to
So,
4
but
p.m.?
usually,
7 p.m.
so
GMT
usually,
tomorrow.
usually what we do is we have two hangouts every week. So usually they are the same. The same one for GMT, the same one for EST. So we have the EST one at this time because people in the EST region are, they're awake. And then we do
Uh-huh.
the GMT one on Thursdays in the evening. So
Okay.
yeah, so usually they are both the same, but this week
Oh,
we
okay.
do
So I don't need to attend the one
yeah,
tomorrow then.
this week is just a bit different because we're not following a normal format of one topic in a week.
All right.
So that's why. So, but on Saturday, oh no, is it Saturday or Sunday? Let's see. Um, on Saturday or Sunday, I think it's Saturday. Let's see which date that is. So we have an hangout on Active Directory backup. Yeah, that's Sunday at 9 p.m. So we have one on Active Directory backup and recovery because a lot of people have been mentioning, Active Directory backup seems like a complicated thing. So we're like, yeah, let's do an hangout on it. Let's see how complicated it really is. So we'll do one on Active Directory backup and recovery. And yeah, we got Andrew now. So Andrew volunteered to do one with us for desired state configuration next week. So Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, I'll do a session about. I'll do a knowledge transfer on that definitely. Yeah.
And the disaster configuration is a really important one, guys, because I did the exam. Microsoft definitely gave us exams on disaster configuration.
Yeah, I think it's a very powerful feature. It's
Yeah,
really.
because it's a new one also, and if something is like new like that, Microsoft will push it in their exams. So it's a good one. You don't want to miss that one also. So yeah, let's just go rest for tonight, and then we'll study during the week. Meet again next week. Let's have some more discussion.
Okay.
Have a wonderful night, guys. See you
You
later.
too.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Cool, man. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
No problem. Yeah,
Good night, guys. Good night.
yeah,
Night.
good night. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.